book lovers, and welcome back, or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. I am here to go ahead and start another reading vlog. Alright, so today is the 12th of December. It is Monday, a little bit, well, exactly 3 o'clock actually, because I'm on my 3 o'clock break. And I'm going to go ahead and start this vlog by just discussing what books I'm hoping to read and give you my initial thoughts on the book that I started this morning, because I didn't get around to starting the vlog before I started the book. I was gonna do a vlog where I went over the last two books on my 22 books to read in 22 list that I had left, but I haven't gotten the Love After the End from the library yet, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe they don't have it because it's been marked as placed for a couple weeks now. And I think last time that happened to me, they said that they had lost the book or the book was too damaged, and so they got rid of it, but they hadn't taken it out of the system yet. So I'll have to give them a call today to see if that is in fact the case. If it is, bummer, because I won't be getting to that book because I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not huge into anthologies, so I'm not gonna buy a book that I'm, you know, iffy about. So instead I'm gonna do kind of a fantasy vlog. So the two books I'm gonna be reading is one, The 100,000 Kingdoms. As you can see, this is the one I started this morning, and that green little tab shows where the end of book one is, because this entire book contains the trilogy as well as an additional story. So I will give you my initial thoughts on this in just a second. The other book that I'm going to be reading is The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson. This was a book I was really hoping to get to this winter, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and prioritize that, and I will let you know a little bit more about it when I actually get to it. So as far as the 100,000 Kingdoms, I did want to read a little bit just because based off the synopsis, I didn't really know what the book was about. So I'm about 40 pages into it right now. We are following a girl called Yanni. So she is the daughter of one of the children of the leader of the kingdom. I don't think he actually has the title of king or anything, but they're just the most powerful family that there is. But her mother decided to marry a man from a smaller, poor area of the continent or country, or however this is set up. I'm still, you know, getting to know all the world building and everything. And so she abdicated her right to the throne and left to marry this man. Her mother has now since passed away, and our character is 19 years old and received a request from her grandfather to come to the capital. When she arrived, he told her that she is to become one of his potential heirs to the throne. She has two cousins, a pair of twins that have been battling each other, you know, pretty much their entire life for the right to the throne, and he is now throwing her in the ring with them. She has no interest in doing this, but also has no choice in the matter either. Obviously, whoever does not succeed to win the throne is most likely going to be killed. So she is very upset about the situation. She feels like she doesn't have any connections in this kingdom and doesn't, you know, quite know the rules of the area or anything. But she has been approached by three former gods, and it seems like they are potentially interested in teaming up with her for whatever reason. In this world, there once was three gods, but one of them was killed and one of them was imprisoned along with some of their children. And these are that god, I believe the god of darkness, and a couple of his children that have approached her. So I am looking forward to the interaction between her and these gods. I don't think it'll take me too long to read. The story is not too difficult to get into, despite the fact that, you know, we're probably gonna be spending a lot of time doing a lot of world building, having a lot of terms of different people, and different parts of the land being thrown at us. The text is pretty big. It does seem like there is something special about our characters that the gods recognize, but that she doesn't. So I'm definitely interested to see what that is. The gods also mentioned that the people that imprison them are not much freer than they are, which seems to imply that the god that they worship may be oppressing them a bit more than, you know, his subjects or her subjects. I don't know what gender the god is. May realize. So there may be some battles against a larger powerful god, which will be very interesting. But so far I've only read, you know, 40 pages, so that's all I've got so far, but I'm definitely already intrigued. Definitely glad to be back in N.K. Jemisin's world. She does a really great job of world building, and I do always find her characters and the relationships between her characters very interesting. So yeah, so I will go ahead and check in with you when I have more thoughts on this book. So it is Tuesday night. I have reached chapter 13, page 142 of the 100,000 Kingdoms. I am not holding this thing up, so I'm just gonna plop that down there. So I am still thoroughly enjoying the story. I think it has good pacing. It's keeping me intrigued and invested. I am enjoying all the characters that we have met, or more specifically our main character, and the gods that are imprisoned in this city. The story seems to be told in such a way that I'm assuming it's our main character, or at least someone is telling us the story of what happened. Sometimes they say things like, oh, let me backtrack a little bit and explain this, or I'm not going to go into that yet. So someone is telling us the story of what has occurred, I'm assuming in the entirety of this trilogy, or at the very least throughout this entire first book. We are getting a lot of world building. We're learning a lot about how the gods were before the Great God War, I believe is what it was called, before the god that is currently in power overthrew the other two gods and took control. And our character is also trying to learn a little bit about her mother, who lived in this kingdom, and then had left to marry a man from a more impoverished nation. So she's kind of trying to figure out what kind of person her mother was, because the people in this kingdom are, I don't want to say cruel, but in a way, you know, especially those in the royal family, are, as people in positions of power often are. And she's kind of having to reevaluate who the person her mother was, kind of comparing what she's hearing from people in this kingdom with what she knew from the mother who raised her, because it seems like they're two very different people. So she's just kind of not sure who her mother truly was. So enjoying the kind of mystery aspect of that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a mystery, but I myself am very intrigued to learn more about the person her mother was, and kind of what her goals in life were, and what caused her to make the decisions that she made. We had a rather large reveal just now that I'm not going to go into, obviously, because that would be spoilery. But it definitely makes me interested to see how things are going to go moving forward. So far, we haven't focused too much on the politics or the competition that is being held to decide who would be the next heir. But I feel that now we've gotten some of the background of the gods, and her relationship with them is becoming more solid, that we'll start to see a bit more of that in the remainder of the story. So that I think is all that I have to say on it now. I'll probably give you an update around the 50% mark, which will be page 190, or I'll probably check in around page 200 or whatever chapter ends closest to that. I don't know how much I'll have to say because it'll only be another 50 or 60 pages that I read, but I'm sure that in a story like this, quite a bit can happen in 50 to 60 pages. So I will check with you later. Oh, and one more thing, I did end up finishing another book today. In fact, I DNF'd a book this morning, which was Noughts and Crosses. I had listened to 24% of that yesterday, and I just had zero desire to pick it up again. It's not a book that I would say you should avoid by any means. I definitely think it is a good book, or at least I should say that I'm glad that it exists. I think there's definitely a place in the world for this book. It just didn't personally work for me. If you're interested in my thoughts, my Goodreads review explains why I decided to DNF, and why I think that the book still has a lot of value. And of course, you can always wait until my wrap up. I'll talk about it there. But I did pick up Binti by Nettie Okorafor. So this was only about 2.5 hours, and I listened to it on 2 times speed, so I was able to power through it. And that is replacing Noughts and Crosses. So it's the space that's gonna allow me to, once I finish The Bird King, to get my across bingo. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was a fun story. It was entertaining. We have a young woman who is leaving her village to pursue a college degree in mathematics. Her village is apparently very well known for their abilities in mathematics. It seems like their abilities go beyond just simple equations, but somehow go into the realm of harmonizing down to the level of like atoms and things like that. I don't know if it's on a science or slightly magical level. Didn't quite understand all of that, but on her way there, her ship is attacked by an alien race that many of the people and other beings, they're not all people, of the universe are at war at, and she becomes sort of like a negotiator with them, because the because they had something taken from them. I thought the ending was really sweet. It was kind of cute. It was oversimplified considering the damage that was done. The consequences were pretty much non-existent. It was kind of like everyone was like, well, we're just gonna forget that happened and just move forward and be positive about it, which is probably not the most realistic thing, but you know, it was a really short book, and for what it was, I thought it was well done. So 3.5 stars. And yeah. All right, so we have some terrible lighting, but I have reached page 213, chapter 18, I believe it was, of the 100,000 Kingdoms. So I am a little bit over the halfway point now. I don't think I have too much more to say about the book since I just updated you like what, 50 pages or so ago. But one thing I was trying to do, I was kind of trying to remember the vibe of the other N.K. Jemisin book, or duology I should say, that I read. Because one thing that I noticed about this book is that there is a great danger on the horizon, and our character is not expecting to survive the next few days. Yet at the same time, there seems to be really no sense of urgency in anything that the character does or really in the writing. I mean, everything does seem rather slow paced, as far as you know, wars on the horizon, you may possibly die in the next 6 days situations go. You would expect a little bit more urgency. I wouldn't say that it's really taking away from the story. I do enjoy the slow paces of N.K. Jemisin's books, just being in the world, and kind of following the story at a somewhat realistic pace, I guess you could say, because you're really following the character day to day and not just jumping from big, you know, important event to big important event or anything like that. But at the same time, it makes me think, like, couldn't the character be doing more? Isn't there something more that this character should be doing? I feel like she's not focusing on the right things, and she admits that at times, you know, when she was trying to figure out things about her mother, was that the best use of her time? Probably not, but at the same time, she's a young girl with questions, so it's understandable. You know, she's in a new area, she's a bit lost, she's trying to get her footing, she doesn't have the time to do that. And it makes me a little frustrated with her, but at the same time, I fully understand her. And I think now that we're, you know, at that final countdown, that hopefully she'll really kick into action, and start taking more drastic, is that the word? Measures, to ensure her survival, and honestly the survival of her nation. So definitely interested to see how things are going now that the end seems to be quickly approaching. But other than that, not too much more to say. I will probably check in with you when I finish the book. Hey guys, so this is my second time filming this video because I feel like I was trying to say, you know, like smart stuff about this book, and like how it shows how, you know, that countries of power have used religion as a way to validate their cruel oppression of other countries and how they impose these strict rules of their religion on these other people, but only follow the rules themselves, like when it's convenient. But at the end of the day, I'm just don't know enough about religion and the history of religion being used as a way to oppress and colonize to really give a full opinion on that. So we're just gonna scratch that video and I'm just gonna let you know that I finished this. It is Saturday, a little after 10:30, and I'm giving this 4 stars. I thought that the story just moved a little too slow at times. I think I mentioned this, that it just lacks a little bit of urgency, that considering the plot was maybe necessary, but otherwise I did enjoy the story and K. Jemison's storytelling. I enjoyed the characters and their relationships. The ending was very interesting. I'm wondering if this book is going to be kind of similar to her Dream Blood duology, where we follow different characters at a different time in the next book, so that they are a series, but they're not like starting right at where the other book ended, and seem almost like companion novels, to be honest. But we'll see. I haven't read the synopsis for book 2, so I have zero idea what is going to happen in that book. But yeah, I really did enjoy the story. I think that N.K. Jemisin does a wonderful job with world building, and I do feel like that was kind of the focus of the story. Like now we've kind of set the stage for the other 2 books, so I'm hoping that those are a little bit more exciting, I guess you could say, now that we have a lot of background information about the country and the gods and, you know, their history with each other, that we can focus a little bit more on plot moving forward, because this book did sometimes kind of jump back and forth between events that happened in the past and the present. But yeah, overall a good time, just a little bit on the slow side, something that I'm hoping is kind of resolved in book 2. I do need to keep in mind that this is her first published work, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure that this trilogy was her first published work. So considering this is a debut novel, excellent work. Excellent. But yeah, those are my final thoughts on that. I will start the Bird King maybe later today. My mom does have a Christmas party tonight that I need to start preparing for. Gotta go ahead and clean the bathroom and prepare some appetizers and things like that. And of course, put some makeup on because I had a facial yesterday. So I have some splotchy spots on my face. Getting a facial before the party wasn't the smartest, but I honestly didn't know my mom was throwing this party until like I already booked it. Too bad. That's what makeup's for. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and just come back on when I start the Bird King. I'll give you a small synopsis of that. This book did take a little bit longer than I wanted it to. I mean, it took me 7 days to read this. I think I started it on Monday. So that is unfortunate. But it is what it is. You know, I enjoyed the reading experience, and you know, one thing I need to focus on is not like stressing myself out too much with trying to read things in like a specific amount of time. This was an adult high fantasy book with like a lot of world building, so of course it took me longer to, you know, absorb things and just fully get immersed in the story, and that is completely fine. So yeah, I will check in with you later.
There you go. There you go. You got it.
All right, good morning. So it is Sunday at a little after 9 o'clock. I just got done watching Amy from A Star Reads day 3 of her Deck the Halls vlog. Always excited when I wake up on Sunday morning and she has one of her videos posted. It's, you know, a way I love to start my Sunday mornings. But I am surprised that I am up so early. I woke up at about 8 o'clock and I went to bed at like 1 o'clock last night, so hopefully I don't like crash in the middle of the day or anything like that. But we had my mom's Christmas party last night, which went really well. Last weekend she had her German friends over. This is a group of women that came over to the US because their husbands were stationed over in Germany for a while, and she's just really close with them, and it's really great that she has a group of people that she can speak German with, because she can speak German to me, but I respond in English. I don't know if you have immigrant parents, if you do the same thing, because when I was younger, of course, they were like, you got to learn, you know, English better. That was actually the advice of my kindergarten teacher, who didn't realize that I was just an introvert and not that I didn't know English. Like, hello, my dad spoke English. He doesn't really know German. But you know how Americans are with their need for you to speak English. But this week we had our old neighborhood friends over. I'll post the vlog that I went to that neighborhood and kind of went back and explored it. I don't remember if I filmed a lot of it, but that was the neighborhood we first moved to when we came here to America, and it's just like a really great group of people, and none of them live in that neighborhood anymore, but luckily we're still in the area. But I haven't seen them since like before COVID, so it's really nice to be able to just catch up with them. Even though I do a lot of listening at parties, I'm not really a talker. I just like to be there and like listen to people. So I had a great time doing that. There was really good food. Someone brought what was it, figs wrapped in bacon with like honey goat cheese, and someone else did like a crostini with onions and caramelized onion, or sorry, apples and caramelized onions, and like mustard. So lots of good food, lots of good conversation. I'm really glad that that happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that today I'm probably gonna keep it pretty simple. I am gonna probably do some grocery shopping because I'm planning on cooking tonight. Probably a curry. Last weekend we were downtown and I walked by this curry restaurant and it smelled so good. And I think my mom said we had a block of tofu that we needed to use. So curry is probably the route I'm gonna go. But for now, I think I'm gonna start my book. I didn't start it yesterday, but The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson. So I believe this book follows two characters. I don't know if it follows both of their point of views. But I think our primary character is a young woman and she's a consort. Is that what she's called? Concubine. She's a concubine. And she's a concubine of the Sultan, but she is also friends with a map maker. And this map maker has some special abilities where he can kind of like alter landscapes, I believe, based off the maps that he makes. And then a group of, what religion are they? Christians show up and they think it's sorcery, and I think they have to kind of like run to save him, and I believe they get the help of a jinn as well. So very interested to see what adventures they go on, hoping for some beautiful writing, and I will update you when I get a little way into it. So I thought this book would have like a slight romance to it. No, obviously it's not marketed as a romance. My bookmark. But you know, it says here the Bird King asks us to consider the nature of love and freedom. So that's why I assumed that there possibly would be a slight romance between the map maker and our concubine, Hassan and Fatima. But it seems that our map maker is actually a gay man, And so I'm thinking that this book will explore more of a platonic love between the two of them. So I am definitely interested in that. While I do love a good romantic love, I do also enjoy exploring friendships. So yeah, just wanted to pop on real quick and put that out there that this book does have some queer representation in it. Hey, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my initial thoughts of The Bird King. I've read 66 pages so far. We have just been introduced to the group of the Catholic general, and this lady is with him as well. She's like kind of an advisor to the queen. And she was brought here to communicate with the women of the Muslim community since the men cannot do so. And so pretty much this kingdom, this last final stand of a Muslim kingdom, is completely surrounded by enemies, and they've been at war for many years, and there's not a lot of money left for them, not a lot of resources left for them, and this Catholic entourage has shown up in hopes of peace talks. And pretty much what is happening now, I just want to say that I don't know how steeped in historically accurate events this is, just because I don't know a lot about what was happening here, which is with what is essentially the creation of Spain. So it seems like there was 3 separate nations that were all Catholic, but they were at war with one another, and they decided to unite and become Spain, and are now in the process of expanding their nation. I think they mentioned, I think it was this book, hopefully it was this book, where they mentioned that they had rounded up the Jews, and they are now going after the Muslim population as well. So this book has kind of a similar theme to the 100,000 Kingdoms, in which we have a religious group or a kingdom that's, governed very heavily by a religious belief, going into other communities and doing what they can to strip them of their cultures, and punishing those very heavily, as in burning them alive, if they do not do so. And they're going through and expanding their kingdom and their power, and using religion as their primary tool or excuse to do so. I do always find it interesting to see how religion is used as a tool for control and oppression throughout history. That's something I always, I don't want to say enjoyed reading, but found interesting to read when I was in college. So these books focusing on that is interesting, if not frustrating, but we'll go ahead and see how big of a part it plays in this book. I mean, I'm assuming, since it says the Bird King asks us to consider the nature of love and freedom at a time when the West and Muslim world were not yet separate. I would say that the breaking apart of these worlds is going to play a pretty decent part in this book. So I'll be interested to see where that goes to. Otherwise, I am enjoying our main character, Fatima. She is a very strong female lead. She seems rather confident, rather intelligent. She knows like 3 languages. She knows how to read. things like that. So she is technically a slave, obviously the concubine of the sultan. So she does still crave freedom, despite the fact that she at this time is technically better off than everyone else because of how much their kingdom is suffering right now. A lot of people are starving, but she at this point still has plenty of food and fine clothing and things to wear, but she is still craving her right to be a completely free woman. Other than that, I don't know too much about Hassan yet. What little I have seen of him, I'm not too impressed, but we have only seen him a couple times, so he might still grow on me. The writing isn't anything overly special. I was kind of hoping we would have really beautiful writing, and unfortunately we don't. I mean, it's not bad, it's not bland. We're getting enough description of the surrounding area for me to be satisfied, because I do like when the author spends time explaining the setting, things like that. It just helps me feel more in the story and things like that. So yeah, so far it's going decent. It's definitely not a 5-star read right now. I would say it's probably sitting around a high 3.5 or a 4, but we are only 66 pages in. Plenty of time for this book to turn around, especially once you know, shit hits the fan, I guess you could say. And I will go ahead and update you when I have more to say. So it is Monday and I am on my 3 o'clock break. I am on page 124 of The Bird King, and we have reached the part where they are now escaping the palace. They are on the run, so that Hassan is not killed for being a sorcerer. And I'm struggling a little bit with the story because I feel like this should be a relatively character-driven book, because there's not too much happening at the end of the day, but I'm not really clicking with the characters or overly invested with their relationship to one another. Like Hassan and Fatima, I feel like we've seen so little of them together, and that they've, you know, exchanged so few words, that I'm just not seeing the bond that they share. I don't see the strength in their friendship. Why is she willing to give up her chance of survival, of living a comfortable life with the Sultan, banished from their land, yes, but you know, alive and well, for Hassan? I don't fully understand where her deep love for him comes, because the way they have been communicating, it's just their relationship seems a bit strained, and right now they're definitely not acting like very good friends. I know they're in a stressful situation, so tempers are frayed, but it's just, even before, you know, their lives were threatened and things like that, I didn't really see the love between the two of them. We have also been introduced to the Jinn at this point, and I was hoping he would be an interesting character, maybe a source of humor, but I'm just not really clicking with his character at all. Hi, Loki. Oh, nope, he's gonna lick the pistachios. That was the one thing about Bowtie. He would always lick the pistachios because they have salt on them, and I think my dad was hoping that Loki would not catch on to that and start that habit as well, but we'll see. But as I was saying, yeah, I'm not really clicking with the Jin character either, and obviously we're just following those 3 right now. So bummer on that, but hopefully they start growing on me. I'm not even halfway through the book, but once I get about halfway through, which will be around page 200, I will go ahead and give you another update. Alright guys, so it is Tuesday. I'm on my 10 a.m. break and I'm actually here to finish off this vlog because I am going to DNF the Bird King. I'm on page, where am I? Let's see, 143. And I'm just really struggling to pick up this book, and when I'm reading it, I'm very easily distracted. I find myself looking for excuses to do anything other than reading this book because it's just a little boring for me. It's not really the kind of story I like. There's not too much happening. It's relatively slow paced, and I am just not connecting to the characters, so there's nothing really attracting me to this book. I feel a little bad because I've never heard anyone talk about this book, and I always feel bad when I read about read a not so well-known book and then don't give it high praise, because I'm like, sorry, this is your one shot to be in the limelight and you blew it. But I mean, there's a few intriguing things that are happening. They're on the run, and it does seem like the group of Christians that are hunting them are using some sort of sorcery of their own. They have some sort of ability that the Jinn says that they shouldn't have, even though they're hunting Hassan down for being a sorcerer. And this is similar to kind of what I mentioned in the 100,000 Kingdoms. And I can't remember if I mentioned it in this vlog or if I just did it in my Goodreads review, where a lot of times those who are enforcing specific rules for a specific religion in this case, but it's not always just religion. It could just be general laws of the land, don't always apply those rules to themselves. They kind of allow themselves a bit more wiggle room to break those laws as they see fit. So that seems to be a pretty common theme in books that deal with the enforcing of laws or religion by people in power. It's just not enough to keep me invested in the story. So I'm gonna go ahead and unfortunately put this down. As far as my board goes, let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick just so you can see what my plans are to achieve my goal without being able to finish this book. So here you can see what my board looks like right now. So the Bird King would have allowed me this straight across, but that's obviously not going to happen anymore. And Some of the Wild, I don't know how many weeks are still left on there, but last time I checked there was still about 5 weeks on that. I am tomorrow, or actually I'm gonna push forward today. I'm gonna head to the library and pick up Love After the End, and I'm currently listening to the audiobook of The Dry, which is a bit of a dry book. I'm not loving it, but it's an audiobook, so it's a little easier for me to just power through that. So once I finish those two, which will be the next 2 books I finish, I will go ahead and achieve my goal of getting 1 across and 1 vertical. So we are still in the running to achieve my goal. All right, guys. So hi Loki. I think this is the end of the vlog, and honestly, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be my last vlog of 2022. I'm just gonna enjoy the holiday season with my family for the rest of the month, and then start vlogging again in January. But thank you guys so much for supporting my channel this year as I started this journey, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye, and happy holidays.